Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we're relaxing as per usual. And I mean, honestly, pretty relaxing. I mean, I was doing a lot of relaxing today. Mainly I was just sort of playing games. You know, I had a bit of a lie-in as well. You know, that's a rare situation sometimes for me. But yeah, what was I going to talk about? I don't know. I was mainly just sort of catching up on some of these games that I haven't played, like Honkai Star Rail. I was playing the fake collaboration that they have. Good evening, everyone. I'm here with a late night broadcast. I hope I can make it through this, because right now in Fawnhallow it's 12:18 AM on what should be Saturday, August 9th, 2025. But yeah, I was doing playing some Honkai Star Rail. They have a new fake collab where they have a pseudo TFT style game. Well, it's more like, it's not really an auto battle, I suppose, but it's like, it's got those sort of elements of building your deck together, but then and getting like traits and classes across, but then you actually play the turn-based mode. I've gotten up to whatever the 6th mutation level is. I can't remember. I haven't finished the quest yet. I'm like an hour through the quest. Honkai Star Rail's got a lot of like big lengthy quests, and I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like halfway through, I think, the main story quest. And I'm like 1 hour through like a 4-hour fake quest. So probably I'll be doing some of that after this. I'll be drawing a new thumbnail art as well. Hopefully, if all goes according to plan. But yeah, like I've decided on a game. It was a bit of a tough decision because I have a lot of them which could have worked. A lot of them where I was like, yeah, you know, I do want to play this game, but then I was just trying to think like what game I don't want to like overlap too much. I don't want to end up in a situation where I've got a lot of like similar games, but like these next games are like all pretty similar visually. So I was like, I'll do this one first, and then I'll do that one to break it up, and then maybe, I don't know, if Silk Song comes out, maybe that'll be Silk Song's time. I think the thing that really solidified it is I saw what the key art was for this game I'm doing, and from a distance I thought it was just quite normal, and then I saw the full cover and I was like, whoa, that's quite fun. I don't know how it's going to translate, if at all, to when I draw it for D, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm also playing a bit of Uma Musume. Like, so far I've basically just been doing the sort of daily stuff where I've just been like doing a produce run, just doing it with a new character each time, and then slowly incrementing up my builds, because a lot of my builds were made before I did all my pulls for Cutis and Black. But now I have, so now I have stronger support cards, and now I can actually hit A rank, A plus rank in all of them. But now I actually did like more research into what's going on, like the timings of everything, because I know that coming up there is Champions Meet, which is a PvP mode, and that's like one of the more exciting parts, I think, of a game, you know. It's fun to be able to figure out how to play the game, I suppose, in an optimal way, in an optimal sense, one might say. This is actually crazy. Hold on. Right now I'm like, I'm playing a bit of shiny colours on my other monitor. What is going on? It's completely like, did they revamp this entire thing? The entire interface looks so different. I have no idea what's going on, but whatever. I'll just run my race as I usually do. What? Doesn't just no one do any damage? What is going on? 7 turns? Oh, I can see what they're all doing. Oh my word, they really revamped this entire thing. That's crazy. They genuinely were like, okay, well now you can see exactly what people are going to be doing. So now I can decide, is it? Oh, I can see, wait, what? Has everyone got their own individual health bars or something? That's what's going on. Everyone's got their own individual health bars, so I can see how much damage they're doing to it. I accidentally got rid of a card I was going to use, so that's pretty bad of me. Weird. So we all have our own individual health bars, and we're all just seeing how much damage we can do. Oh, that's actually really clever, because that completely gets rid of... Okay, there was a huge problem before with shiny colours, where basically it was just basically you re-rolling over and over again until you got the perfect round. because other people could mess you up too badly. But now you can, now you're just doing what you need to do yourself. I really threw this though, I'm not gonna lie. Of other people. Okay, I'll do this just to sort of slow people down a bit. Oh no, I've messed up royally, I think. No, it's still possible, right? I do this one, then that. Sorry, you can't see what's going on. I'm just having my mind blown. I didn't even know they had this patch or whatever. What's going on? I don't know if it's better to do this or this. I think all of them is going to one-shot. Probably better to do this one, isn't it? I'll do this one. But this should be a legendary moment. Insta-kill turn 6 early. All the stars. That's so cool. You're basically doing the game separately from each other now. So now other people's buffs and stuff and debuffs mess you up, but it's not their timing messes you up. What? That is a fantastic change for the game. I'm actually so impressed that they've done this. This is really cool. Sorry. This is crazy. When did this happen? This is actually a not much... Like, sorry, I'm losing my mind over this. I was going to talk about the fact I'm playing Uma Musume, and there's a mode coming out called Champions Meet, which is basically a PvP mode, which I am kind of familiar with. Not necessarily the actual mode, but I had a look at it and I was like, this seems very similar to Masterfest in shiny colours. A lot of my shiny colours knowledge, I will say, translates almost directly to Uma Musume, which is very lucky. So a lot of the times I do things, I'd be like, oh, this is shiny colours equivalent of this, or Uma Musume's equivalent of this. But it's basically a PvP mode where the way you build characters and strategize is very different. So I was like just watching some videos, you know, getting up to speed, and you know, it was actually like a really fun time being able to sort of plan out exactly what strategies I need, because it was like, okay, I need to look at my cards, I need to look at the cards which are available, I need to see what strategies people do, because it's a sort of thing, like, I mean, I'll dive into it. Basically, you don't need to know the mechanics of Uma Musume all that much, but basically you run horses, and whichever horses do the best is exactly how it works. But you like create the characters by doing these tasks, campaign runs essentially with them. Imagine like a roguelike run, and then at the end that's how strong they are. But yeah, it was very fascinating to read, because the campaign meet, Champions Meet is basically a fixed race, and the strategy is very different, because the current PvP mode is basically just about maximizing your high score. So every single character you enter the race needs to have a decent shot of winning, because they all need to be able to score as high as possible, and it's your cumulative score, which is how that mode is calculated. But this one's very different in the sense that it's basically all or nothing. What you do is you're basically doing a 3v3, and it doesn't matter what place anyone comes, the only place which matters is first place. So you basically just need to come up with a strategy to be able to take first place. And I was reading a lot of different strategies about like what happened with the meta. It's very interesting because the global version is like 4 years behind the JP version. So like people are experienced of going in, and the thing that you always read about is Nice Nature, who has actually become one of my favourite characters, is really strong in this mode, because she's not very strong in the base mode, because she's basically a debuffer character. She, instead of having buffs for herself, basically debuffs everyone else, which is not very strong in the regular PvP mode, team trials, because it means that it just makes everyone else score less, but she doesn't score much higher. But she's OP almost in this mode, because in this mode it's all or nothing, right? You only need one person to get first, so you enter 3 people. It's very worth it to sacrifice one of your slots to put in Nice Nature or any debuffer, to basically just make sure everyone else has a really bad shot of getting first. And seeing that, like when I saw that was like one of the meta, I was like, absolutely, I'm going to do that meta. Nice Nature is one of my favourite characters. She's probably my second favourite character at the moment. Who's first? Manhattan Cafe, but she hasn't got a playable card yet. Who's third? I don't know, that one's more up in the air. I think it might be Gold Chip, but I'm not sure. And whichever one's my favourite's changing all the time. And it was, I just like, it's it's like the fun part of like playing, being new to a game again, being able to learn all these different strategies. Because it was like, oh, the different ways that people could play, because you know the meta right now is a certain type of racer called like pace chasers, essentially are the most popular because they've got like the strongest supports, essentially, and the strongest characters, so they're the ones that people will be running most. But Nice Nature is why Nice Nature is so crazy in this mode, is because she has very specific debuffs for those types of racers. And it's like, oh, that's super interesting. And it was like, well, what different strategies can you enter? You could enter with basically 3 carries. You basically put 3 really strong racers in 3 different positions, and then hopefully one of them will win. You know, you put like a really strong front runner like Marozensky, and you put like a really strong pace runner like, I don't know, Ogly Cap maybe. And you have like a strong end closer like Gold Ship or something. I mean, you just hope one of them wins. Like, even if one of them gets debuffed or something, you hope that because the other's in different positions, they dodge the debuffs and you go through. Or you can have like a sort of hybrid thing. You have like one ace runner, like who's front or pace, because if there's no debuffers in array, if there's no debuffers in the competition, you know, you still need someone who's basically fully invested to be the strongest they can be. But then you maybe have like a secondary one for like maybe if your ace doesn't do so well, who can also run some debuffs, that's sort of like a hybrid. And then you have someone else also sort of running like a secondary support. Or you can have like the full evil nature meta, as it's called, or the debuffer one, where you sacrifice one of your team slots to be like a full debuffer, and then your other 2 team slots, you sort of play around it as well. So the strategy I'm doing is that one, the evil debuffer one, because I sort of evaluated and I think it makes most sense to me, is basically have Nice Nature debuff every other race in the game, and then my 2 other races are going to be end closers. They're going to be racing in a position behind Nice Nature and where everyone else will run their Nice Nature. So they should theoretically dodge all the debuffs and then come swoop in to win. And one of them will be Rudolph, who'll be like a hybrid. She'll be a debuff, but she can also be a secondary runner, and then the other will be Gold Ship, who will be the ace runner, who just is looking to sort of cinch that win. I was also considering not running Rudolph and running Tokai Teo as a pace, like a really strong pace runner, with the idea being that Gold Ship would dodge all the debuffs by being behind where they would usually run the debuffer, and then Tokai Teo has a lot of stamina inherently in her kit. So she would basically just tank the entirety of all the debuffs and still be able to pull out on head, but still be strong enough that if there weren't debuffers, she would be able to win. It's things like that, which I'm just like, I know this is a gacha game, I know it's silly to read into it so much, but I'm just like, reading all these strategies has me excited, you know. I'm not busting out the Excel spreadsheet to like run the numbers, that's not what I do, but I do bust out a spreadsheet to be able to plan things. It's a very similar thing, because there's a mode, one of the events in Starlight Stage called Live Carnival, and it's my favourite mode because it's basically, instead of there being like one song where you get scored on for the entire event, there's 10 songs, and each song basically you get to choose a song in a lot of cases, and each like slot of a song has like a gimmick. Like one of them's like this stat is boosted, or one of them's like, oh, your life is boosted, or like the health is boosted, which is usually like kind of more of a dead stat, and things like that. Or another one is being like, oh, you can only play these selection of songs, and it's really, really fun. Basically sort of trying to like mix and match your teams, being like, okay, I know what the optimal teams are, I don't have necessarily all the optimal teams, trying to figure out how to basically put all the cards you have in to be able to maximize your score in that mode. It's very optimization based, I think, which appeals to me. So I really enjoy that mode, and there's another layer upon it as well, because you obviously have your 10 teams that you're trying to take into that mode, but then you can also borrow a max 3 characters from other people. So it's just like, okay, you know, what other best teams will need to borrow on? Well, on this one, you know, I have 4/5 of a core team comp, so I'll borrow someone there. It's like, oh, but this one is actually normally more high scoring because the gimmick on it is actually like more pushed towards very high scores, so maybe it'd be better I replace one of my less optimal for more optimal character, despite the fact I still have a functioning team there. It's things like that which are really fun. So yeah, as part of doing the Uma Musume planning, I decided to go with double end closer thing, because it would mean that I only need to make one end closer parent instead of needing to make a pace chaser and end closer parent. I'm using Measure Orion, trying to basically do some basic runs, get a 3-star spark of some kind with as many skills as possible, and then I'll hopefully borrow a Marozensky from someone else. If I had time, then maybe I'll try and make an Oguri Cat parent as well. to sort of combine with Megid Orion. Or something like that. I don't know. Because I think the thing I want now is I want to have good self 3-star legacies. And like, I don't know, this makes no sense if you've not actually played the game, but just like, I'm talking about loads of random optimizations, and just thinking about the optimizations or how to optimize it is fun to me. You can see maybe how I became a mathematician. But yeah, I don't know, like, people also say with maths it's like, oh, the number crunching is all that fun. I'm like, to some people I'm sure, yeah, but I'm like, okay, you give me the results of the numbers, I want to figure out the adjustments of how to sort of align everything together. That's the part which is fun to me. So yeah. That's why I really like some of the Genshin, Honkai, and Zenless modes, where it's like Imaginary Theatre is one of my favourite Genshin modes, because it's like, the others are very sort of sold in the sense where it's like, this is the optimal team comp, and there's not enough restrictions on it that you do anything outside the optimal team comp, if you can. And like Spiral Abyss. But Imaginary Theatre is like, you need so many different characters, so it's like, okay, this is a resource I have at the moment, let's try and make it work, essentially. And it makes it so much more fun. I like modes which require you to essentially use up your entire slot of characters. Your entire oeuvre. Which I would say, to be fair, Champions Meet doesn't do. But Team Trial already has covers, because Team Trials you need a ridiculous 15 characters to actually run in it. Which is crazy, because on release, I think the characters, you only get like 18 or something characters for free. And the thing which is really difficult about it on release, if you haven't pulled for Umas, is the fact that it's really difficult to get enough really difficult to get enough dirt runners. Because you have to run, if you haven't pulled, you have to run Haruurara, and you have to run El Condor, and then you're kind of stuck with a third one, so you use a free ticket on Ogre Cap, because that's the only one that makes sense, or Taiki Shuttle, and then it's like, okay, then who the heck do you run a mile? That's why it gets difficult. It's like, okay, we die with Scarlet, Vodka, and then I can't remember who I did. I think I did Grass Wonder, because I was like, I don't have anyone else I can do for it until I got some other people, because I was like, oh, what about Air Groove or whatever, but I had to use Air Groove on medium or whatever. I didn't have to, but I don't know, things like that, like sort of rearranging a puzzle together. That's what makes me go like, yeah. Anyway, I might get back to that, I don't know. I think probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the new Honkai Star, I'm going to finish a Honkai Star Rail event, and then we'll see where we go from there. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see you again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.